Somebody asked me the other day if my mother came back to me and was remorseful and did the therapy work, would I forgive her? And I really had to think about this a lot. This was a TikTok comment, so I've had some time to sit back and think about it. 16 years ago, I would have taken my mother back with no apology and no discussion of the past. I would have done anything to have her in my life because I connected to her after 17 years of no contact, and she used those magic words that I very rarely heard from her. I love you. And I believed her. And I wanted her in my life because she's my mother. I wanted her to be my mom, and I wasn't able to give up on that yet. And she didn't show up because of the fact that there was no audience for her. There was no facade. There was nobody to play to. So she dropped the ball and, just literally didn't show up. Fast forward, and I had said not that long ago that if my mother made amends, if she owned her behavior, if she owned the abuse, if she stood up in front of my entire family and cleared my name and said, no, I was never the family liar, and that she, yes, indeed, did abuse me. And let's kind of do a little bit of an inventory, and I'm going to give you a trigger warning. When I was 5 years old, my mother tried to kill me. She dropped me out of a 2-story window, and I walked away with 2 broken arms. She had no way of knowing that I would survive that fall. And it became the family joke. I ended up living with her parents, my grandparents. My grandfather was a child molester. She left us there, my brother and I, for over 4 years while she husband hunted. When she turned back up, I was around 9 years old. I went to live with her, and she put me in the company of another child molester, and she knew I was being molested. Throughout all this time, she was emotionally eviscerating me. I mean, the emotional violence was far worse than the physical and the sexual violence that I went through. Healing from that has taken so much longer. The words like I was damaged goods and a tramp and nobody was ever going to love me, that I was sick in the head, that everybody knew I was sick in the head, all of these different things that she told me. That if I ran away from home, people would just forget about me. They'd stop looking. And eventually, I did run away from home. At 13, I ended up living on the streets. There were times that I thought to call because I was so hungry and so tired and so alone. And I could hear my mother's voice telling me that everybody was better off without me and nobody would even remember me at all. That kept me from calling and kept me as a homeless youth and on my own for 3.5 years until the age of 17. When social services sent me back, I had a little baby who was 10 days old. There she is. They didn't even ask me what I had been running from. My mother tanked any possibility of me getting therapy help at that time. And she did everything she could to stop me from furthering my education. I somehow managed to get a GED in spite of her. So at every turn, throughout every interaction I've ever had in my life with my mother, she has violated me in some way, shape, or form. It isn't about forgiveness because what she did is unforgivable. And that's not about bitterness. I'm not carrying any of that with me now. I won't give her moments of my happiness by living in anger and bitterness. I'm going to give myself the best life that I can. And she is not my focus other than sharing my stories to help other survivors to heal and to educate people about the long-lasting impact of child abuse. If she felt remorseful, it would not undo anything that she's done. Not that long ago, I said if she came to me and stood up in front of the family and took ownership and did the right thing, I would take her back. I needed to have my head examined over that one because I'm really thinking about it now. I will never take her back. What's to take back? The risk of somebody betraying me and re-traumatizing me? Why would I do that to myself after all the work I've done to heal? Her remorse will never undo, and she's not going to feel it, what she did to me. And there's nothing that could happen in a relationship with her that would ever feel like love or warmth or goodness, because I would always be waiting for the real mother that she is to show up. I don't paint my life with false hope, and I don't keep people in my life that don't bring value to my life and, in fact, take value away. I accept that my mother is a sociopath and a narcissist, and that the people who are attached to her in our relatives are a part of a narcissistic family system. They didn't show up for me then. They don't get to be with me now. Relationships are earned. They're not just there because of DNA. And because of the pressure that we feel to be connected to people whose blood is running through our veins, or who we're attached to maybe through adoption, we stay in these relationships much longer than we should. And I hate the word should. But it isn't really only because of the pressure of the outside world and society. It's also because of the internal pressure of feeling like, if I'm just good enough, they'll love me this time and stop hurting me. And it's that hope that dies so hard that if we walk away, like really walk away, we have to let go and realize that they are never going to be the mom or the dad or the grandparents, the aunts, the uncles that we deserved in the first place.